Hello everyone! In today's video, we'll be exploring some little-known taboos and surprising facts about Thailand. This country has many unique social rules and customs, and even locals sometimes need to be mindful of them to avoid breaking them. From spiritual practices to things considered taboo, this video will help you understand aspects that many tourists may never have heard of. Number 1. The Rent-a-Wife service attracts customers. Pattaya is not only famous for its beaches, but also attracts tourists with its unique services in the red light districts, often bluntly referred to by Westerners as renting a wife or holiday girlfriend. This term refers to a temporary relationship between tourists and women working in bars, a model that, while not officially recognized, has become an integral part of the local entertainment ecosystem. Women working in go-go bars or nightclubs agree to live with tourists for a few days or weeks, depending on the agreement. During this time, they act as a real partner, not only going out to eat and party, but also taking care of daily needs such as laundry and cooking, creating a warm, family-like atmosphere for those far from home. Essentially, this relationship is a financial contract because, in addition to paying the woman, the customer usually has to pay a bar fine to the bar owner to compensate for the employee's absence. Most of these women come from the impoverished rural area of Isan, and the income from this work helps them support large families, even building houses or buying pickup trucks, which are considered symbols of a better life in their hometowns. With the huge influx of tourists to Pattaya, this market is extremely lucrative. A woman hired by a client can earn between $1,500 and $3,000 USD per month, a figure 5 to 6 times higher than the salary of a university-educated office worker in Bangkok. However, this activity is completely unprotected by law, so if disputes or scams occur, tourists are almost powerless to file complaints. Despite this, the authorities often turn a blind eye because of the enormous economic benefits this morally questionable sector brings to the local area. Number 2. Ring the bell once and pay for the whole restaurant. When entering a bustling bar in Thailand, you'll easily spot a small brass bell hanging above the counter. To many Western tourists, this item looks like a fun decorative piece, but in reality, it's a sweet, sugar-coated financial trap. If you accidentally ring the bell without understanding the rules, you'll instantly become the center of attention, paying a hefty price. In the unspoken rules of the nightlife scene, ringing the bell means you're offering drinks to everyone, including the patrons and the large staff. This is an act of extreme generosity, but in areas like Pattaya or Nana Plaza, the staff will automatically open beers for everyone without asking your permission a second time. This custom originates from the all-inclusive tour culture, and the moment the bell rings, the atmosphere shifts to a celebratory mood. The staff will often respond by banging gongs, ringing auxiliary bells, or blowing whistles loudly to create a resounding effect, drawing admiring glances and applause towards the person who rang the bell. Based on the price list at Walking Street, beer costs around $4 to $7, but the drinks for the staff, also known as lady drinks, are often much more expensive, potentially reaching $10 a glass. Assuming the bar has 50 people, the total bill for a single bell ringing could easily exceed $300 to $400. This is why many tourists inadvertently spend their entire trip budget in a single moment of impulsiveness. This act is also a status-affirming ritual. As in many large establishments, the name and nationality of the bell ringer are prominently displayed on a golden plaque hanging on the wall. Being called out by the MC provides a great sense of self-satisfaction, but the pressure of paying the bill immediately afterward is equally real. Therefore, that little bell is a risky financial switch in Thailand's nightlife. Just a light tap, whether you're having fun or too drunk to control your behavior, is enough to turn an ordinary evening into a huge bill that not every tourist is willing to pay. Number 3. Not wearing underwear may result in a fine. One of the regulations that surprises many tourists visiting Thailand is that going out in public without underwear can be considered a violation of social norms. To foreigners, this may sound unbelievable, but in Thailand, it reflects how society sets clear boundaries regarding decency in public spaces. In cities heavily reliant on tourism, authorities are particularly sensitive to behaviors that could tarnish the country's image in the eyes of international visitors, especially in Bangkok, Chiang Mai, and Phuket. Under Thailand's legal framework, inappropriate attire in public can be classified as a violation of social order. Violators may face fines or detention in cases deemed intentionally offensive. While this rule isn't always strictly enforced, it reflects a common viewpoint in Thai society where modesty is seen as a shared responsibility. Legally, the basis of this regulation lies in the Public Order Act and is often applied in conjunction with provisions related to inappropriate attire at beaches, shopping malls, and tourist spots. In 2019, Pattaya police fined many foreign tourists for wearing see-through clothing or suspected of not wearing underwear while strolling along the beach, with fines recorded as high as approximately $150 according to local records. These fines were subsequently reported by domestic media as a deterrent, directly targeting behavior deemed to exceed acceptable limits. Many people question how authorities can determine if someone is wearing underwear. In reality, the regulation does not rely on direct inspection, but primarily on external observation. When clothing is too thin, transparent, or tight-fitting to the point of revealing the body, police can determine that the person does not meet public dress standards. In popular tourist areas like Sukhumvit or Walking Street, tourist police often have the authority to issue warnings or fines on the spot, and in such situations, not wearing underwear can be a significant factor in issuing a violation notice. Number 4. Deported for having a Buddha tattoo. Many Western tourists often get tattoos of Buddha as a way to express their faith, but in Thailand, this act has a completely opposite meaning. In the eyes of the locals, turning the Supreme Being into a decorative tattoo is considered a serious lack of cultural understanding, even blasphemy. With over 90% of the population following Buddhism, the image of the Buddha is a sacred object of worship, not a decorative motif. The outrage reaches its peak if the tattoo is on the lower half of the body, such as the legs or waist, because Thai culture considers the head to be the dwelling place of the soul, while the feet are the lowest and dirtiest part of the body. This reality has caused countless problems, with tourists being denied entry to large temples or questioned by the police if they reveal sensitive tattoos. The Thai government takes this issue so seriously that it has erected giant signs at Suvarnabhumi International Airport with the message, "Buddha is not for decoration," to warn tourists as soon as they disembark. Even more alarming is that this issue has been legalized, not just a matter of personal morality. Tourist police have the right to use the Religious Protection Act to impose administrative penalties or even deport those with overly offensive tattoos, turning a dream vacation into a legally damaging experience. For Thais, true reverence stems from daily self-cultivation, not from tattoos on the skin. You might think a Buddha image on your arm brings peace, but for the locals, it's evidence of superficiality and insensitivity to the core spiritual values of the nation. Number 5. Bringing trouble upon yourself by accidentally stepping on insects. Upon entering a magnificent temple in Thailand, most visitors are often overwhelmed by the dazzling golden Buddha statues, overlooking the small details underfoot such as ants or insects. In the West, accidentally stepping on a cockroach is a minor incident, but in this sacred space, that action carries immense spiritual weight. Theravada Buddhism places the principle of non-killing in the highest position, corresponding to the first and most important precept in the 5 precepts of Buddhism. This principle encompasses all living beings because Thais believe that even tiny insects are part of the cycle of reincarnation. Therefore, killing in a sacred place would create extremely heavy negative karma. That is why temples always apply very strict regulations to protect living beings. You will easily see monks sweeping the temple grounds with brooms made of soft grass, using very gentle movements to only push insects aside without harming them. Visitors are also advised to walk slowly and mindfully, as deliberately trampling on living things here is considered blasphemous. In serious cases, violators may be asked to leave or fined for disturbing the peace. For the locals, the issue isn't the biological value of the insects, but rather the arrogant attitude of people towards life in a sacred place. This is truly a major cultural shock, because while Western tourists consider insect extermination a matter of hygiene, Thais respect them as an inseparable part of the cosmic order. Number 6. Law prohibiting women from contacting Thai monks. One of the unbreakable rules in Thailand is that women are absolutely forbidden from touching monks. This is not only a religious precept, but also a deeply ingrained social norm in daily life, practiced for hundreds of years. For Thais, protecting this spiritual space is self-evident and not at all controversial. According to the Theravada Buddhist monastic rules, monks are required to maintain purity of body and mind and avoid all distractions. If they accidentally touch a woman, they are considered to have violated the precepts and must repent or face internal disciplinary action. Therefore, the rule of no contact is the most practical way to help them maintain their meditative state. The strictness of monastic life is clearly demonstrated at famous temples such as Wat Phra Kaew and Doi Suthep. At the entrance, there are always signs instructing women to follow the procedure of giving alms indirectly and prohibiting women from entering the sacred main hall where monks are performing rituals to absolutely prevent any potential disruption to the spiritual space. Adhering to this is both a sign of respect for religion and a matter of cultural conduct. During the morning almsgiving ceremony in heritage cities like Ayutthaya or Chiang Rai, women do not hand over food directly, but place it on a tray or a saffron yellow cloth called a Pha Rab Prakan, spread out by the monk. This subtle gesture helps both sides maintain a safe distance while still showing their reverence. Therefore, in all public spaces, women are always careful to ask a man to act as an intermediary or use a tray when they wish to offer alms. This centuries-old precept is so strictly observed that even a mother is not allowed to hug her son when he is wearing a Buddhist robe. Number 7. The strictest law prohibiting insulting the king. Criticizing or insulting the king and the royal family in Thailand is strictly prohibited under lèse-majesté law. This is one of the world's strictest laws protecting the monarchy and is enforced as a core part of the national security system. For Thais, the king is not just a political figure, but also an untouchable symbol inextricably linked to the country's history and stability. This law reflects society's special respect for the royal family, as any offensive words or images are subject to criminal prosecution. According to Article 112 of the Thai Criminal Code, violators of lèse-majesté can face sentences of 3 to 15 years imprisonment for each offense. This regulation applies to both social media posts and private conversations if recorded and reported. The royal family is seen as the embodiment of national unity, especially during periods of political instability. Surveys conducted by Chulalongkorn University following the political crisis showed that the royal family remains the most trusted institution by the people, surpassing even the government and parliament, because the image of the king is always associated with rural development projects and social welfare. This explains why the public reacts so strongly to any actions considered disrespectful. Therefore, seemingly harmless behaviors such as creating memes, making negative comments, or not standing for the flag ceremony at movie theaters are considered violations. Before each film screening, the song praising the king, Sansoen Fra Barami, is played, and all audience members are required to stand respectfully. In 2020, the Bangkok Criminal Court publicly released the files of many citizens prosecuted simply for posts on Facebook and Twitter. For tourists, any conversation or gesture related to the royal family needs to be carefully considered. Respecting this boundary not only helps avoid serious legal trouble, but also allows one to integrate into a society where the monarchy remains central to spiritual life, evident in the tens of thousands of vibrant yellow portraits proudly displayed throughout the kingdom. Number 8. Stepping on money in Thailand is illegal. Stepping on money in Thailand is not only considered impolite, but also a serious violation of the law. The Thai baht is not simply a means of payment. It also features images of the king and the royal family, symbols of absolute reverence. Therefore, how you treat the currency is a measure of your respect for the monarchy. In the Thai psyche, the image of the king symbolizes national stability, so stepping on money is considered a grave insult. Based on regulations protecting the image of the royal family, intentionally soiling or stepping on money can result in immediate police penalties. This not only offends the public, but also puts tourists in real legal trouble. In hotspots like Bangkok and Phuket, there have been cases of tourists being taken to the police station simply for using their feet to block banknotes flying in the wind. Although unintentional, in this sensitive social context, such an action is interpreted as using the lowest and dirtiest part of one's body to desecrate the revered face of the king. Therefore, people always pick up money with their hands and absolutely avoid keeping wallets in their back pockets, as sitting on the image of the king is also considered blasphemous. The Tourism Authority of Thailand, in its official guidelines, always reminds tourists to handle money carefully and not to fold or crumple the area containing the king's portrait. This careful handling of money not only helps you avoid trouble and integrate better, but also reflects an understanding of a society where the image of the royal family is closely linked to long-standing cultural values and traditions. Number 9. The billion-dollar underworld of Bangkok. The sex industry is a huge but hidden part of Thailand's urban economy. Although not officially licensed, it remains deeply rooted in major cities like Bangkok, Pattaya, and Phuket, illuminated by the lights of their famous red light districts. It is estimated that between 200,000 and 250,000 people work in this sector, including Thais and migrant workers from poorer neighboring countries like Laos, Myanmar, and Cambodia. Financially, this market is worth $6 to $7 billion annually, accounting for 1 to 3% of GDP, equivalent to the country's total rice exports. This enormous figure makes it one of the largest underground economies in the country, even though it never appears in government statistics. The main source of revenue comes from international tourists spending on bars, massage parlors, and nightclubs. It creates a symbiotic ecosystem where sex doesn't exist in isolation but cleverly hides behind signs like soap massage or karaoke bars, closely intertwined with the hotel and entertainment network. However, the distribution of money is highly unfair, with workers receiving only a small portion while the majority goes to the owners and brokerage fees. Operating in an informal, gray area, they lack contracts and insurance, and are completely unprotected by labor laws in case of disputes. A key characteristic is the tightly organized network of territorial management, rather than fragmented operations. To maintain business, these establishments frequently pay unofficial grease money, or what's colloquially known as tea money, to protection rackets or local police to avoid harassment or closure. The result is a multi-billion-dollar market operating in the shadows, where enormous revenue exists alongside a lack of transparency and risks for workers. This is the biggest paradox of Thailand, a devout Buddhist nation that accepts living alongside this sensitive industry because of the enormous economic benefits it offers. Number 10. The 3 pillars of Thailand's black economy. Behind Thailand's vibrant tourism landscape lies a complex underground economic ecosystem. The 3 main pillars supporting this dark world are gambling networks, clandestine casinos, and the drug market, activities that, while not officially documented in tax records, possess an astonishingly enduring vitality. Regarding gambling, although current laws only permit lotteries and horse racing betting at royal racetracks, the demand for gambling remains enormous. This fosters a vast network, from informal street gambling dens playing dice games to online betting sites with servers located at the border, generating millions of dollars in daily transactions through bookmakers. Underground casinos, also known colloquially as borks, are not as murky as depicted in films. They operate semi-openly behind upscale karaoke bars or massage parlors. Customers need a guarantor to bypass authorities and gain entry. Because they are not subject to taxes, gambling establishments often offer much more attractive odds and services compared to legal channels. Alongside gambling is the market for stimulants, especially synthetic drugs like yaba, also known as crazy drugs, which are rampant from the Golden Triangle region. Although the highest penalty can be the death penalty, the enormous profits ensure a strong supply to bars and music festivals, catering to the relentless partying needs of night owls. These 3 factors are closely intertwined in urban spaces, because wherever there are tourists and alcohol, there is a demand for risky entertainment. They create a parallel economy that both sustains a segment of the population through illicit money and fosters a culture of corruption, posing a difficult challenge to local authorities regarding social order. Number 11. 32 years in prison, just for a Facebook like. In Thailand, getting into legal trouble for expressing opinions online is no longer uncommon, especially for those familiar with the country's computer crime laws. A shocking case once occurred where a citizen was criminally prosecuted simply for clicking like on a Facebook post deemed subversive. The incident stemmed from an account sharing content satirizing the monarchy, and the person in question clicked like without adding any comment. However, in the eyes of Thai prosecutors, that click was not harmless but was considered an act of aiding and abetting the spread of harmful information. Police immediately investigated and determined that, although not directly creating the content, the interaction constituted a serious violation of cybersecurity laws. The man faced charges of insulting the monarchy or lèse-majesté, with a potential sentence of up to 32 years in prison for multiple offenses, including sharing a chart of corruption. What shocked the public was that the punishment wasn't based on writing or sharing the post, but simply on a like button, an action that's perfectly normal in Western countries. The Thai Minister of Information and Communication Technology even publicly warned that liking a post that violates the law, alongside the share button, is tantamount to committing a crime and could lead to arrest. This case offers a harsh lesson about how the law controls digital behavior in politically and religiously sensitive contexts. It serves as a stark reminder that when in Rome, do as the Romans do, because an accidental touch on a phone screen can instantly turn you into a criminal. Number 12. Troubles. When expressing affection in public. While public displays of affection are normal in Europe, in Thailand, this behavior is viewed very strictly. Excessive hugging and kissing in public are often considered uncivilized and lacking in refinement, stemming from the traditional educational philosophy of Rak Nuan Sangguan Tua, which teaches women to maintain their modesty and decorum. People don't usually criticize directly, but express their displeasure through averted gazes or an awkward silence. At train stations and sacred temples, this rule is clearly indicated by signs, and some places even display illustrations of couples embracing with a red cross to remind visitors. To avoid awkwardness, couples should moderate their emotions, as locals will feel embarrassed on their behalf. In Thai society, gently holding hands is the only widely accepted level of intimacy. Any further behavior is considered offensive. Maintaining personal dignity is a top priority in this culture. Surveys by Mahidol University of students and working professionals show that the majority oppose public displays of affection, believing it blurs the sacred boundary between private and public spaces. This rule is not merely religious dogma, but a civilized way of life aimed at maintaining social harmony, also known as the Krengjai spirit, which means the reluctance to disturb others. Understanding this rule helps tourists avoid prying eyes and better integrate into local life. Number 13. Trust sorcerers more than doctors. In Thailand, you might walk out of a world-class hospital like Bumrungrad or Samativej, equipped with CT scanners and a team of doctors who speak perfect English, comparable to those in Europe. However, just a few streets away, you'll find yourself in a completely different world of shops selling amulets, red string bracelets, and sacred tattoos. The busiest area is the famous Tha Phra Chan amulet market along the Chao Phraya River, where locals believe that sorcerers can change people's destinies. For most Thais, Western medicine isn't the only solution. When faced with illness or business failure, they often employ a dual approach, believing the cause isn't just a virus, but also karma or vengeful spirits. Therefore, it's quite common for a patient to take antibiotics while simultaneously wearing an amulet or getting a yantra tattoo to treat their ailment. In Bangkok and surrounding provinces, there are temples renowned for their healing abilities, such as Wat Bang Phra in Nakhon Pathom. Long lines of people patiently queue not to see doctors, but to wait for monks to perform rituals, receive holy water, or undergo tattooing, believed to be a spiritual shield protecting them from accidents and death. A shocking paradox is that many people are willing to spend huge sums of money on religious ceremonies, but hesitate to spend even a penny on medical tests. Even in modern cities, many families still prioritize consulting fortune tellers to choose auspicious dates and times before agreeing to major surgeries for their loved ones. To outsiders, this mindset seems illogical, but in Thai society, where Buddhism and animism are closely intertwined, the line between medicine and spirituality is almost blurred. Illness is no longer just a biological matter of the body, but also a matter of fate. Number 14. Sitting with legs crossed is prohibited in Thailand. In Thailand, sitting with your legs crossed is generally considered impolite, especially in sacred spaces. This posture becomes extremely offensive if your soles are pointing directly at the person opposite you or the Buddha statue. As in Thai culture, the feet are considered the lowest and dirtiest part of the body, in stark contrast to the sacred head, the dwelling place of the soul, also known as Kwan. When visiting temples, tourists are encouraged to sit with their legs folded to one side to conceal their feet, a polite posture called Nang Phab Phib. At major landmarks like Wat Phra Kaeo, Wat Pho, and Wat Arun in Bangkok, security personnel are very vigilant and are ready to use loudspeakers or batons to instruct you to correct your posture immediately if you inadvertently point your feet towards the Buddha statue. This rule governs all Buddhist rituals, from morning chanting to formal events. Throughout the religious ceremony, participants must maintain a solemn kneeling posture, known as Thep Theta for women and Thep But for men. This is considered the highest standard of discipline and devotion. This tradition stems from a hierarchical ideology where the head is revered and the feet are considered unclean. Therefore, pointing one's feet at a monk or Buddha statue is considered a grave insult, equivalent to using one's feet to point at objects or close a door, actions strongly condemned by Thai society. In daily life, Thais are also extremely strict about this. Children are taught from a young age never to put their feet on tables or chairs or point them at elders, as it is considered disrespectful. For tourists, this lack of understanding can easily lead to awkward or embarrassing situations. The Tourism Authority of Thailand's documents always dedicate a separate section to warning about proper sitting posture. While fines are rare, being publicly reprimanded in front of a crowd can be embarrassing, and you'll likely have to apologize profusely with your hands clasped together. Number 15. Take off your shoes before entering. In Thailand, removing shoes before entering a home is considered a core principle for protecting the purity of the living space. Dirt and germs from the streets not only soil the floors, but are also seen as impurities belonging to the chaotic, mundane world outside. Therefore, leaving shoes behind is a way to dispel negative energy and keep the home a clean sanctuary. If you forget, the homeowner will usually only gently remind you, but they will feel disrespected. In many homes, from Bangkok townhouses to traditional wooden houses, the doorstep is designed with a lowered step called a charn, which acts as a buffer zone for guests to remove their shoes before stepping onto the main floor. This custom is also deeply rooted in religious beliefs, as the home is a spiritual space where the earth deity, Phra Phum, resides. Ancestral altars and Buddha statues are always placed in the highest position, so bringing shoes stained with dirt from outside into the house is considered blasphemous, polluting the sacred energy field and disrupting the feng shui of the home. In rural areas, this rule is even stricter, especially in traditional stilt houses. Wooden floors are usually polished to a shine, and according to old customs, a small water jar and coconut shell ladle called ang nam are placed at the foot of the stairs for guests to wash their feet before entering. Wearing shoes inside not only causes scratches, but is also considered an insult to the efforts of the women in the family in maintaining the house. For tourists, the clearest sign is observing the long rows of shoes in front of the door. This is common even at massage parlors, dental clinics, or some 7-Eleven stores on tourist islands. Cultural guides consistently list this as the #1 rule to remember, similar to the saying, "When in Rome, do as the Romans do," to help you easily integrate into the daily life of the people of Thailand. Number 16. Thais consider debt a sign of filial piety. In many countries, debt is merely a financial issue, but in rural Thailand, it's also a measure of morality and honor. When someone borrows money to build a house for their parents or to support their younger siblings' education, society doesn't see it as a personal burden, but rather as fulfilling a lifelong debt of gratitude to their parents. Thai society places enormous expectations on children, especially daughters, to provide for their families upon reaching adulthood. Sending money home monthly is a mandatory requirement, often materialized by well-built concrete houses or new pickup trucks parked in front for the neighbors to admire. Therefore, many people accept high-interest loans simply to fulfill their obligations and avoid being seen as ungrateful. This pressure doesn't lessen even after they start their own families. Many women find themselves juggling raising young children while also sending money to support their elderly parents. When income is insufficient, a vicious cycle of debt begins, a pattern of borrowing from one place to pay another, dragging on for years. The informal credit system exacerbates the problem. Private loans are easier than bank loans, but the interest rates are exorbitant, sometimes reaching 20% a month. Borrowers accept this risk, believing it's a worthwhile price to pay for filial piety. In this context, debt becomes part of social identity. Those who bear debt for their families are respected as responsible and maintain their lineage's prestige, while those who refuse to help are seen as selfish, even if that decision might save them from personal financial crisis. Number 17. Never put your feet on the table. In Thai culture, the dining table is not only a place to eat, but also a crucial space for social interaction. Putting feet on the table is considered taboo. In a society that highly values hierarchy and order like Thailand, this behavior immediately disrupts the harmony of the meal. Hygiene is also a key factor, as the table is often where elaborately prepared dishes are displayed. Therefore, placing dirty feet on the table is seen as defiling both the physical and spiritual space of the host. Maintaining the formality of the dining table helps maintain a comfortable atmosphere for everyone. In traditional restaurants, staff will immediately clean and even refuse service if customers intentionally put their feet or shoes on the chairs, as this seriously violates Thai service standards. This concept is closely linked to the anatomical beliefs in the local culture. Just like in Buddhist temples, the feet are considered the lowest part of the body because they come into contact with the earth and sand, while food, which sustains human life, is a gift from the goddess of rice, May Posop. To place the lowest above the life-sustaining is an unforgivable offense. In the hierarchical system, the head is the most noble place, where the soul resides, while the feet are the dirtiest. Putting one's feet on the dining table is considered uneducated and brings bad luck to the entire family. This rule is especially strict in rural areas where people often eat on wooden floors or bamboo benches. The dining table is the center of celebrations and festivals, so keeping it clean is essential to protect the family's honor. Reputable travel guides consistently list this as one of the top taboos. It's just as important as not pointing your feet towards a Buddha statue. An unchangeable rule that anyone wishing to adapt to local customs must engrave in their hearts. Understanding this deep cultural logic will help tourists avoid disapproving glances and awkward situations, allowing them to fully enjoy Thai cuisine without any cultural, bitter taste. Number 18. The capital city with the longest name in the world. An interesting fact is that Bangkok holds the record for the world's longest capital city name. While the international community only knows the short two-syllable name, the official name is so long that no one uses it in everyday communication, totaling 169 characters. For the locals, this string of characters carries more symbolic and spiritual meaning than simply being an administrative place name. The full name is Krung Thep Maha Nakhon, Amon Ratanakosin, Mahintara Ayutthaya Mahadilok Phop Nopharat, Ratchathani Burirom, Udom Rachaniwet, Mahasathan, Amon Piman, Awatan, Satit Sakathatya Vitsanukam Prasit. It translates to City of Angels, the Eternal Jewel of Indra, summarizing the country's glorious history and religious status. In 2007, the Guinness Book of Records officially recognized it as the world's longest place name. In reality, the Thais simply call it Krung Thep, while the name Bangkok, commonly used by foreigners, actually originates from Bang Makok, or olive swamp, which was the old name of the Thonburi riverside area before it became the capital. This record-breakingly long name was composed by King Rama I in 1782 when he moved the capital here after the fall of Ayutthaya. Each word reflects the Hindu worldview and the king's role in a divinely created capital. This shows that the capital is not only an administrative center, but also a sacred space of royal power. Even though Bangkok is now full of skyscrapers and trams, the ceremonial name remains present in state documents, constantly reminding us of the centuries-old religious foundation of our ancestors. So, we've together deciphered the cultural mysteries behind the friendly smiles of the Thai people. Hopefully, this practical knowledge has helped you gain a deeper understanding of local customs so you can confidently adapt to local traditions. If you found this content valuable, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel right now. Do you have any questions or memorable experiences in Thailand? Leave a comment below. Thank you for your support and see you in the next videos.